Terrence Howard confirms what Diddy did to Brittany Murphy. The pneumonia cover-up gets darker. Okay, grab a seat, because what you're about to hear will have you clutching your pearls and side-eyeing the entire Hollywood elite. The feds? Ooh, now we all remember how Brittany tragically passed away in 2009, supposedly from pneumonia. But get this, just 5 months later, her husband Simon died from the same exact thing. Coincidence? Honey, please. Whispers in the industry say this was all part of a sinister plan allegedly meant to silence people who knew too much about Diddy and his twisted empire. And one word keeps popping up like a bad horror movie jump scare. Pneumonia. Yup. Every time someone tries to break away from Diddy's shadow, they mysteriously catch pneumonia and never make it out alive.
She was an actress with big potential. Then Brittany Murphy died young. Well, now a new HBO Max documentary is looking into the star's troubled final years.
It's your first look at the blockbuster documentary that reveals new chilling information about the mysterious death of actress Brittany Murphy.
I met this guy who's so totally amazing.
The former It Girl, known for the films Clueless, 8 Mile, and for dating Ashton Kutcher, died in her home at age 32.
Media and paparazzi surrounded the home that she shared with her husband, Simon Monjack.
I'm a happy type person. I smile a lot.
She's a Scorpio. What else do you need to know?
I'm a double Scorpio.
Double Scorpio.
She evidently collapsed in the bathroom.
But hold on to your wigs, because the Brittany Murphy chapter gets even messier. Word on the street is she was allegedly seeing Ashton Kutcher while he was still married to Demi Moore. And guess who Ashton confided in about it? Diddy. That's right, Ashton spilled the tea to Diddy and said he was scared about getting caught. So what did Ashton do next? Introduce Brittany to Diddy after they rapped Just Married. For years, they were allegedly sneaking around in secret. But by 2005, the affair ended. Brittany went on to marry Simon Monjack in 2007, a man who some say was more con artist than soulmate. And during all this chaos, Diddy, he was getting cozy with Cassie. But then came 2009. Just weeks after Diddy's lavish 40th birthday bash, Brittany was found dead. The cause? Supposedly pneumonia.
I've never seen a case where a young wife dies and 5 months later, a youngish husband dies, basically from the same underlying factors.
Not only the same underlying factors, but even the couple's final hours alive are eerily similar. The night Brittany died, she passed out twice.
Eventually, I got to the point where she had told her mother, Sharon, "Mommy, I'm dying, I'm going to die."
To me, that is alarming that a mother would ignore those requests for help, those cries for help from her own daughter.
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Brittany Murphy. And I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy. You understand? We were going to Nets game, so we picked him up, and he was explaining to Diddy that every time he goes to Brittany's house, paparazzi always catches him or almost catch him coming out her apartment or coming out the building. Diddy was telling him that's either the doorman or your security, you know what I'm saying? And he was still married to Demi Moore at the time. So you could have something, you could be right. Because it's crazy how they said her and Kim and some other individual with them around them all died of pneumonia and they were in perfect health.
Yeah, it just gave me the shivers, that, because how can these two people be around the same people but die of the same death? Is it a case of the stories that are going to expose them off, they become a threat?
Now to the latest Hollywood mystery. The husband of actress Brittany Murphy has been found dead just 5 months after her own passing. CBS News correspondent Michelle Miller has the details. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Well, some would say that Simon Monjack was best known simply for being married to Brittany Murphy. Now he has followed her into death in an eerily similar way.
It was a marriage between a fading young star and an unknown screenwriter with a checkered past. Now, just 5 months after Brittany Murphy's tragic death from pneumonia and drug intoxication, her husband, Simon Monjack, has also died. The 39-year-old was found unconscious Sunday night in the same Hollywood Hills home where Murphy had gone into cardiac arrest December 20th. Ironically, Brittany Murphy's mother, Sharon, discovered the bodies of both her daughter and her son-in-law. A neighbor described the scene the night Murphy died.
They were putting tubes in her throat and trying to resuscitate her with paddles. And then her husband was here just wandering around and in his pajama bottoms, just looking completely dazed and shocked.
Then the unthinkable. Just 5 months later, Simon Monjack drops dead too. Same symptoms. Same eerie story. No thorough investigation. No red flags raised, just silence. But here's where it gets downright chilling. Toxicology reports from Brittany's autopsy showed she had unusually high levels of toxins and heavy metals in her system. Her own father said what everyone else was too afraid to admit.
Actually passed away before Kim Porter's second autopsy report was finished. Ed Winters worked on people like Paul Walker, Tom Petty, Brittany Murphy, and Michael Jackson. And then I found out even something more crazy. So do you guys remember Harley Pasternak, the trainer that was CIA that Kanye talked about trying to off him and other celebrities like Aaron Carter?
Harley Pasternak followed me to the hotel. The nigga cured Aaron Carter, and now they acting like they won't clear the Backstreet Boys sample. You get what I'm saying? Harley Pasternak, Pusha, your trainer. Harley Pasternak, Jay-Z.
Harley Pasternak worked with Brittany Murphy before she passed away. Harley Pasternak claimed that Brittany Murphy's husband hired him to work with Brittany, but when she came into his gym, he was sure that she was under the influence of something. Yeah, right. And what makes everything even worse is the fact that Brittany Murphy dated Ashton Kutcher around the same time that he was best friends with Diddy. And it's been alleged for years that before Brittany Murphy passed away, she was getting ready to expose SA that was happening in Hollywood. And we know even though Ashton Kutcher was friends with Diddy, he worked at an organization for these SA child and women victims. That was up until 2023, until Ashton Kutcher decided to resign from Thorne because he sent a letter in support of Danny Masterson, basically discrediting all of his victims and saying how much of a great guy he was. So a man for years that sat on a board trying to help women and children, that was also friends with another, and also friends with someone like Diddy, was dating Brittany Murphy, and she was allegedly getting ready to expose the industry in some things that she knew. And Harley Pasternak just so happened to be around her right before she passed away. Nah.
She was poisoned. The official autopsy? It said she died from pneumonia and severe anemia. But let's use our common sense, shall we? If she had severe anemia, how was she just at home? Why didn't anyone call an ambulance? Anemia that severe causes breathing problems. It doesn't kill you overnight. Brittany even told her mom she felt like she was dying, and yet no one took her to the hospital. It just doesn't add up.
Fire Department 97, what's the address of the emergency?
1895 Rising Glen Road.
What's the phone number you're calling from? Tell me exactly what happened.
Oh, somebody's passed out.
Somebody what?
My daughter's passed out. They're doing mouth to mouth. Please get here quick,
okay.
please.
Okay. All right, we're going to. How old is your daughter?
She's 30. Please hurry.
She's 30? Okay, she's with you now?
Yes, there's someone coming.
Yeah, ma'am. You don't have to yell. We're going to send somebody out there, okay? Is she awake?
Please, no.
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay, so somebody's doing mouth to mouth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, did somebody see what happened?
No.
Okay, listen to me carefully. Is there a defibrillator available? Is there a defibrillator available?
Defibrillator, do we, honey? No.
Okay, listen to me carefully. We're on our way. I'm going to give you instructions. Are you right by her now?
Yes.
Are you right by her now?
And here's the pattern that's got everyone's skin crawling. Anyone who tries to speak out against Diddy ends up 6 feet under. No lie. Remember celebrity bodyguard Big Homie CeCe? He said he was threatened after trying to expose Diddy. It's no coincidence. Kim Porter, Brittany Murphy, both gone. Both from pneumonia. Both had ties to Diddy. There's a darkness behind all this glitz and glam.
I need to know, do you think that Diddy killed Kim Porter?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because of all the videotapes, because of the book, because of all the people she gave copies of her book to, or at least chapters, because of everything that she had on him, because of the tape that she used to blackmail him into a relationship and into a raise of him being sodomized by Andre Harrell. And I am not saying that allegedly, because I heard her and Kim Moore talking about it in the booth of the bathroom while snorting at the Kit Kat Club.
Well, Pierce, let me ask you a question. From your journalistic perspective, have you ever noticed how in this industry, people untimely meet their demise as soon as somebody else seems like they're having a problem? Have you ever seen that before?
Well, there was, of course, the case of one of his other ex-girlfriends, Kim Porter, who died of pneumonia at a very young age. You just referenced your own situation with pneumonia that you believe was deliberate poisoning. Do you believe that may be what happened to her?
Why are so many people coming down with pneumonia? Why is that happening to everybody? What is that about? Where have you ever seen this many cases of pneumonia associated with one situation? So, you know.
There were rumors.
I'm not saying.
Well, I was going to mention on this that there have been rumors circulating online that Diddy may have poisoned Jamie Foxx, which caused his 2023 hospitalization. In his Netflix show, he compared Combs to the devil in revealing his near-death experience after a brain bleed and stroke. He said, I say this all the time, I saw the tunnel, I didn't see the light. It was hot in that tunnel. I thought, shit, have I gone to the wrong place? I looked up the end of the tunnel and I thought I saw the devil saying, come on, or was that Puffy?
Let's go deeper. If Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy really had pneumonia, how did doctors miss it? Kim Porter saw some of the best physicians just a week before she passed. Her records showed nothing was wrong. And yet, days later, she was gone. Pneumonia doesn't move like that, not without warning signs. Something doesn't smell right.
Of the anterior neck region, a small amount of blood was noted issuing from the right nair. A small amount of white frothy sputum was also noted issuing from the mouth. Oh, she had foam coming out of her mouth? What appeared to be a contusion was noted to the left upper arm. Multiple small red dots and what appeared to be a small contusion was noted to the right upper arm. What appeared to be small contusions were also noted to the bilateral posterior upper legs. Piercings were noted to the bilateral ears, implants were noted to the bilateral breasts, a vertical line of discoloration was noted extending from the upper abdomen to the groin region, the back was unremarkable, no other scars, marks, or apparent signs of trauma were noted. Rigor was noted to be a 3 throughout the body, lividity was fixed and appeared to be consistent with the decedent's position upon my arrival. Identification, the decedent was positively identified as Kimberly Antoinette Porter. Next of kin, they notified the son and other family members. Decedent was not married. I spoke with Detective Patike at the scene and he confirmed this information. Organ tissue procurement was not addressed with the family, and autopsy notification, it says no exam notification was requested.
Terrence Howard stepped into this madness with a truth bomb that left Hollywood shook. He said that when someone comes after you in this town, they do it from the shadows. They follow you, poison you, ruin your life, all while keeping their hands clean. This isn't chaos, it's precision, it's calculated. It's a freaking blueprint for elimination.
Listen, before y'all talk about me, y'all need to talk to me. You see, once upon a time, if a man questioned another man's honor, he didn't do it from the shadows. He had to do it out in the open, with his name, his chest out, and his chin high. Not hiding behind the keyboard or tucked behind editing clips of fair use disclaimers. You see, citing Section 107 of the Copyright Act does not give you free rein to defame, misrepresent, or harm another's reputation. Fair use is not a shield for character assassination. So here's the simple truth. If you take my words, my image, my ideas, and twist them to feed your fear and inflate your ego, if you profit off of my name while calling me a liar, then be prepared to stand behind your accusations. Because in the old world, men didn't hide behind anything. When they spoke against someone, they had to speak it with their whole being. And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths.
Hollywood still runs on freak-offs, casting couches, and fueled coercion. And if you try to fight it, gets blacklisted or worse. Brittany's career was crumbling before her death. After Sin City in 2005, she couldn't book any major gigs. Why? Did she refuse to sell her soul? Did she say no to the right perv in power?
You got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card.
Oscar-nominated actor Terrence Howard left the film industry because he knew what goes on behind closed doors. Couch casting and sexual favors are what this industry is built on.
And let's not forget, Terrence Howard didn't just walk away from Hollywood for no reason. He knew what went down behind closed doors. He saw the couch castings. He saw the predators in power, and guess what? He refused to be another pawn. On Patrick Bet-David's podcast, Terrence revealed that he turned down some of the biggest roles of his career to protect his integrity. Why? Because Diddy allegedly wanted something more than a contract. He wanted him. And Terrence wasn't about to sell himself for fame.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
And you know what makes all of this even more twisted? Every time someone tries to present real evidence against Diddy, somehow it magically disappears. Kid Cudi's car was torched. Cops found fingerprints linking Diddy to the crime. And guess what? That evidence? Poof, destroyed in an accident. Sure, Jen.
Court has adjourned today in this trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Today, the defense requested a mistrial following testimony from an LA arson investigator, but the judge denied the request. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Even during Diddy's federal criminal trial, his defense team screamed prosecutorial misconduct when an arson investigator brought up those fingerprints. Prosecutors asked if it was unusual for evidence to go missing. And the defense? They jumped in, accusing them of planting the idea that Diddy was guilty.
The
overall implication, according to the defense, is that somehow Sean Combs created that disappearance. The defense moved for a mistrial, and they moved for it because what they said is it's unduly prejudiced, because this is the whole theory of what the prosecution is putting forth, is that he has this control and can make these investigations disappear.
But the judge, he shut that part down, told the jury to forget it. And just when we thought it couldn't get sketchier, a police officer testified that a black Escalade was spotted fleeing the Kid Cudi break-in. Guess who owned that SUV? Bad Boy Productions. Yep, Diddy's company, same guy, same shady trail. That wasn't even the first time. In 2012, Cudi's Porsche was set on fire. But sure, let's pretend Diddy's name is squeaky clean.
And fire damage in these photos that were shown to the jury, and said he determined the fire was targeted and started with a Molotov cocktail. Kid Cudi last week testified he believed Combs was responsible for both incidents after finding out he was dating Cassie Ventura.
Here's the real kicker. This is the first time in decades that prosecutors have been able to collect and present actual evidence against Diddy. The freak-offs still happening. Even after the Miami mansion raids, photos from his arrest show that the depravity never stopped.
Also tonight, our first look inside Combs' Miami mansion, the day federal agents busted the gate open last year to raid it. A federal agent testifying about the evidence, guns and ammo seized from Diddy's home that were found near alleged freak-off supplies, which included dozens of bottles of baby oil and boxes of platform heels, bondage restraints, and bundles of rope. Also photographed as evidence that day, motivational messages on Combs' bathroom mirror that included "You a legend" and "Upward motion," and drugs. Lots of drugs, including ones found in plastic bags inside a Gucci bag, and orange tablets with the Tesla logo that tested positive for LSD.
So we just got new exhibits today. Take a look at these photos that prosecutors have just released. They're pictures of Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, with what she says are bruises on her back and legs, which you can see here, and also a gash above her eye. Also released today, some pictures from when Diddy was arrested in September of last year at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York. And a special agent with Homeland Security testified last week that some of the items found included baby oil, drugs, these pink packets of ketamine. There's also this image of a knife wedged in a door. Now, Combs, we aren't sure if he's going to be taking a stand in his own defense, but he denies all of the allegations against him. But will all of these witnesses really prove the government's charges that he was running this criminal empire and that he's guilty of trafficking?
Diddy had a whole vault of freak-off tapes, not just for pleasure, but for power. Blackmail. He used them against his female employees. One victim, Mia, brought receipts in court. She was being blackmailed, terrified, controlled.
Diddy victim number 2 is saying that she was blackmailed with freak-off videos just like Cassie Ventura. And I've seen a lot of people wondering, are the freak-off tapes going to be played in court for the jury to see? And yes, they actually are. The government is still fighting right now to make sure that these freak-off tapes, when they're played in court, are only going to be for the jury's eyes. They dropped some very interesting information today about these tapes and saying that victim number 2 has proof that she was allegedly blackmailed with these freak-off tapes. In this motion, the government is asking the judge to make sure that people from the press are not able to be in this courtroom when these freak-off videos are played, because they are saying that they are blackmail and they are very explicit videos. Now, the government talked about how Cassie Ventura said that Diddy would record these videos on multiple different encounters and then tell her that he would release these tapes against her, and she found it humiliating and disgusting, and she wanted them deleted off the devices. Now, the government is saying Diddy victim number 2, who is going by the pseudonym of Jane, will provide a similar testimony to that of Cassie Ventura's, stating that she did not want to participate in the freak-offs and that she was terrified of anyone seeing the recordings of her engaging in these activities. And the government expects to offer text messages that Jane sent to the defendant's chief of staff on December 28th of 2023. And the chief of staff at the time would be Christina Korm, and she stated, "Diddy just threatened me about my tapes and that he has me on 2 phones. He said he would expose me and send them to another person." And then she proceeded to write another text message to Christina Korm, but right now this information is blacked out and it looks pretty long compared to the last text message that they reference. The government says that these text messages confirm James' views of the recordings of her encounters during the freak-offs with the same level of honor as Cassie Ventura. And they are alleging that the defendant used those recordings to blackmail both victims who were and remain terrified of the release of those tapes.
Like Cassie, Mia said Diddy assaulted her. The jury saw a horrifying list of job duties Mia wrote herself back in 2011. She had to protect him, serve his needs, anticipate his every mood swing. It was like a horror movie on paper. She said he could ask her to do 17,000 things at once, everything from cracking his knuckles to doing his taxes. And when she begged him to stop, she said his eyes went black, like he wasn't even human.
Hi, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us here on ABC News Live. Week 3 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial has wrapped, and we should note this show will contain graphic content from the courtroom today. 5 witnesses testified this week, 2 former employees, a Los Angeles police officer, fire department investigator, and a celebrity stylist. The latest witness on the stand testifying under the pseudonym Mia, recounting her time as Combs' former assistant. Mia alleged working for Combs was chaotic, toxic, and dependent on his whim. She told the jury she feared she couldn't tell him no, testifying, "I felt I had to. I obeyed Puff's orders." Mia also saying Combs sexually assaulted her more than once, leaving her feeling terrified and confused and ashamed and scared. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team says any sexual encounters were consensual. If convicted, Combs faces the possibility of life in prison.
And if that didn't chill your bones, get ready. One of Diddy's male workers, nicknamed the Punisher, took the stand and dropped bombs. He claimed he had 8 to 12 encounters with Cassie while Diddy watched, gave instructions, directed the whole nightmare. Cassie allegedly looked broken, trapped, sighing at his commands. It's sickening.
Up on the stand after Cassie's mom stepped down, a man who goes by the name, wait for it, the Punisher. The Punisher is an exotic dancer and former sex worker whose real name is Sheree Hayes. Mr. Hayes told the jury that he got his nickname playing basketball, but his photos, they seem to tell a different story for why he may be using that name today. Ooh, kind of safe for work, almost not safe for work. I wouldn't put it up at work, but that's the Punisher, y'all. Mr. Punisher testified that he was hired by Diddy and Cassie for 8 to 12 different times, things like episodes. And he was meant to create a sexy scene that would last for hours. He said that Diddy called all the shots in these episodes. He didn't call them freak-offs, but he described what we've heard as freak-offs. He never saw any cameras, he said. He didn't see any violence. And he said, although Cassie would sometimes wince or sigh at some of the sex directions that came from Diddy, he said it didn't seem as though Cassie was there against her will. Again, this is a prosecution witness, so that's kind of, it's on the fence there. He does certainly corroborate the freak-offs and what happened in the freak-offs, but that whole business about, to him, he wasn't sure if Cassie was into it or not, but he did hear that she winced and that she sighed as Diddy gave a lot of those directions. By the way, the Punisher also said that he never saw Diddy take drugs, never saw that he seemed drunk or high, which is exactly what prosecutors are trying to show, that this was not just an out-of-control, party of an enlisted megastar, but instead was a clear-eyed criminal enterprise.
It's not just about couch casting or one bad man. This is an entire machine, a disgusting, dangerous system built to protect predators and destroy those who resist. And as this trial continues, the real question is no longer if the truth will come out, it's how many lives will it take before someone finally says enough is enough. Stay alert, stay loud, and never stop asking questions. Because at this point, it's impossible to ignore the patterns, the pain, the deaths, the silencing, the cover-ups. All roads lead back to one man and a trail of broken lives behind him. From Brittany Murphy to Kim Porter to Cassie, Mia, and so many others, how many people have to fall before Hollywood finally stops protecting him? This isn't gossip anymore. It's a wake-up call. Diddy's trial is just the beginning. The freak-off tapes, the secret footage, the NDA-covered nightmares, They're all being unraveled in real time. And for the first time in decades, people are starting to listen. Because when Terrence Howard, a respected Oscar-nominated actor, says enough is enough, you better believe the world should be paying attention. He didn't walk away from Hollywood because he couldn't act. He walked away because he couldn't stay. Not in a place where predators run the show, not in a place where integrity is punished and silence is rewarded. So what now? Now we wait, we watch. We remember every name, every victim, every chilling story swept under the rug. We refuse to forget Brittany Murphy. We refuse to believe this was just pneumonia. We refuse to stop talking about what happened behind closed doors. Because the moment we go quiet, that's when they win.